The station had been quiet most of the afternoon, the kind of quiet that always made the older guys uneasy. Mike Larson stood near the back bay door, bunker pants folded at the ankles, t-shirt damp with sweat from the training drill they'd wrapped up an hour earlier. Outside, the late-season sun washed the engine apron in gold. He checked his watch for the 5th time, 4:36 p.m. First pitch was at 5. His son Tyler had been practicing for weeks. This wasn't just any game. It was the playoff qualifier, the one Tyler had talked about non-stop, the one Mike had promised he'd make no matter what. He wasn't supposed to even be on shift today, but a rookie had called in sick, and Mike had filled the gap without thinking the way he always did. "Larson," one of the guys said, stepping beside him. "You heading out soon?" "Soon as I get the text from my wife that they're warming up," Mike said. "I'm already halfway gone." Before the guy could answer, the tones dropped. The station filled with that sharp metallic voice of dispatch, the sound that froze everything in place. "Engine 12, Rescue 12. Respond to a motor vehicle collision. Possible entrapment. Highway 214 near Ridge Curve. Multiple callers reporting rollover." Mike didn't move for half a second. Highway 214, Ridge Curve. That was the long stretch heading west, nowhere near town, nowhere near anything. A call out there meant a long scene, long extrication, long everything. The kind of call you didn't leave. The rest of the crew sprinted into motion. Gear slammed open. Boots thumped on concrete. Radios crackled. Mike grabbed his coat even as something in his chest clenched. He wouldn't make the game. Not even close. He climbed into the officer's seat of Engine 12, headset already on, gloves shoved into his coat pocket. The engine bay doors rolled open, sunlight pouring across the red paint as the rig roared awake. Captain Ramirez looked at him. "You good?" "Yeah," Mike said. "Let's go." The engine pulled out, siren rising as they hit the street. The road west cut through open fields, yellow grass blowing in long waves toward the foothills. As they climbed, the wind picked up, slapping against the cab. Mike watched the landscape blur, his knee bouncing the entire ride. "Rollover with entrapment," Ramirez said, reading off the tablet. "Caller said a small SUV went down the embankment. No airbag report, no further info." "Any idea how many patients?" the driver asked. "No number given." Mike stared ahead. Ridge Curve was notorious. A long, sweeping bend with no guardrail and a history of distracted drivers overshooting it. They'd pulled people out of there before. Some walked away, some didn't. Dispatch updated again. Engine 12, additional callers reporting child involved. Mike's breath hitched before he could stop it. He felt Ramirez's eyes on him again. "We don't know details yet," the captain said quietly. "I know. But the timing, the wording, the mention of a child on the exact night he was missing his own kid's game. It crawled under his skin in a way he couldn't shake." They reached the curve 10 minutes later. Even before the engine stopped rolling, Mike could see it. A dust cloud still hanging in the air. A trail of torn grass leading down the embankment. And at the bottom, an SUV on its side. The roof crushed halfway in. A pickup truck was parked on the shoulder, hazard lights flashing. 2 bystanders waved frantically. Mike was off the rig before the wheels fully settled. "Give me what you got," Ramirez called to the bystanders as the crew grabbed tools. "A car just went off," one man said. "We climbed down. There's a kid inside, maybe 8, 9, he's not moving." Mike froze for a heartbeat. 8 or 9. Tyler's age. "Driver?" Mike asked. "Still in there. She's trapped." Mike nodded once, tight, and jogged down the slope with the captain, rescue tools clattering behind them. As he reached the wreck, he saw through the shattered window a small sneaker, blue with red laces, the same style Tyler had begged for last month. His stomach turned cold. He forced himself closer, kneeling by the broken glass, peering into the crushed interior. And what he saw made his throat close so hard, he couldn't breathe. The kid inside looked just like his son. For a second, Mike couldn't get his hands to move. The kid's face was turned toward the shattered window. Blood streaked across one cheek, hair matted on the other. Same build, same freckles across the bridge of the nose, same shape of the jaw. The resemblance hit him with a force he hadn't expected, like he'd been dropped into ice water. "Larson," Ramirez said quietly, crouching beside him. "Talk to me." "I'm good," Mike said, though his voice didn't sound like his own. He forced his breathing to level out. "Let's see what we've got." He slid closer to the opening, shining his light inside. The woman, the driver, was pinned against the steering wheel, airbags blown, legs trapped under the crushed dashboard. She was conscious, barely, her breath shallow. "Ma'am," Mike called out, "we're firefighters, we're here with you." Her eyes fluttered but didn't quite open. Ramirez leaned in. "We need rescue working the door side. Larson, check the kid." Mike swallowed hard and nodded. He reached in through the window, fingers brushing the child's neck. Pulse, weak, but there. The boy's ribs rose in an uneven pattern, each breath shaky and thin, unconscious but alive. "Kid's still with us," Mike said, voice steadier now. "We need him out first." The rescue crew was already setting up the spreaders. Metal scraped against metal as the hydraulic tools bit into the frame. The sharp, grinding roar echoed across the slope. Mike kept his hand on the child's shoulder, steadying him as the car groaned under the pressure. Dirt shifted beneath the wreck. Dust drifted through the beams of sunlight cutting across the crushed cabin. The mother stirred again, trying to speak. "Don't move," Mike said gently. "We're working on your son first. We'll get you both out." Her lips trembled around the words she couldn't form. The crew managed to peel the rear door enough for Mike to slide through the opening. The inside of the SUV was cramped, crushed in on both sides. Shards of glass crackled under his boots. He crouched beside the boy, lifting him carefully, mindful of the angle of his neck and the way his breathing hitched. The sneaker, that blue one with the red laces, dangled loose as Mike eased the kid into his arms. "Got him," Mike said. "Let's move." He passed the boy through the opening to the medics waiting outside. As soon as the kid left his hands, something in Mike's chest loosened and tightened at the same time. Relief mixed with a kind of ache he didn't want to name. The medics headed uphill with the boy, oxygen mask already in place. Mike turned back to the driver. She was fading fast. Ramirez slid beside him. "Dash is crushing her legs. We're gonna need a full lift." Mike nodded. "Let's get chains on the frame. Spreaders on the driver's side again." The next 15 minutes blurred into the rhythm Mike knew too well. Commands, tools, metal bending, the quiet grunt of effort, the coordinated lift of the dash. They freed the woman with minutes to spare. She was loaded onto a stretcher, her hand slipping away from the edge of the wreck as the medics took her up the hill. Once she was clear and the scene stabilized, the adrenaline began to drain out of Mike's system. The wind picked up across the slope, carrying the scent of fuel and crushed grass. The late sun had dipped behind clouds, turning everything a little dimmer. Ramirez walked up beside him. "You good?" he asked again, softer this time. Mike wiped the back of his wrist across his forehead. "Yeah, just timing, I guess." "The kid looked like your boy," Ramirez said. "Anyone could see it." Mike didn't answer. They climbed back up to the shoulder. Ambulances were already pulling away, sirens low and distant as they headed toward the trauma center in town. The pickup truck that had stopped earlier was still there, the two bystanders watching quietly. Up the road, Engine 12 waited with its lights rotating in a slow, steady pattern. Mike's phone buzzed in his pocket. He hesitated before pulling it out. A message from his wife. He hit a double, asked if you were in the stands. "I told him you're trying." Mike closed his eyes for a second. He wasn't even close. He typed back, "Still on a call. Tell him I'm proud. I'll explain later." He hit send but didn't put the phone away right away. The screen dimmed in his hand. Ramirez approached him again. "We'll clear in 5. You want to ride back or stay till CHP is done?" "I'll ride," Mike said. "Nothing left for us here." But even as the words left his mouth, he glanced back down the embankment, at the torn earth, the broken glass, the strip of fabric caught on a branch. His mind kept flashing to the boy's face, then to Tyler in his baseball uniform, looking for him in the stands. They loaded up and started the long drive back to town. And halfway there, Mike realized the thing he'd been trying not to admit. What shook him wasn't just the resemblance. It was the thought of how easily it could have been his own kid waiting on the sidelines, wondering why his dad never showed up. Back at the station, the crew moved with that familiar come-down energy, tired but wired, the kind that settled in after a rough call that ended better than it could have. Gear went back on hooks. Tools were wiped, repacked, logged. The engine rumbled into silence. Mike stayed in the bay longer than he needed to, running a rag across a spreader that was already clean. The metallic smell clung to his gloves. It always did after rollover calls. Ramirez stepped beside him. Hospital just updated. Kid stable. Mother in surgery but expected to pull through. Mike nodded. Good. You sure you're all right? Mike kept wiping the tool, slow and repetitive. That kid, for a second I thought I was looking at… I know. There wasn't much else to say. Ramirez wasn't the type to push. He clapped a hand on Mike's shoulder and headed into the office. The station got quiet again. Sunset poured through the open bay doors, casting long shadows across the rigs. Mike leaned against engine 12, letting the cool metal rest against his back. He pulled out his phone again and stared at the picture his wife had sent during the call. Tyler in his Dodgers blue uniform, helmet crooked, batting gloves tucked into his waistband, a grin missing 2 front teeth. The kid looked proud, just pure, uncomplicated kid joy. And Mike hadn't been there to see it in person. He rubbed a hand across his face, the weight of the day settling deeper into him. He'd missed plenty of things before. School plays, birthday dinners, Christmas mornings when he was stuck on shift. But tonight felt different. Maybe it was the look-alike kid. Maybe it was the way Tyler kept asking if he'd make this game. Maybe it was just the accumulation of too many maybes. The radio crackled overhead, just routine chatter, nothing urgent. But the sound still tightened something in his chest. He pushed off the engine and walked toward the locker room, peeling off his gear. The concrete floor felt cold through his socks. Once he'd showered and changed back into street clothes, he sat on the bench, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor tiles. He needed to go home, talk to his kid, talk to his wife, try to explain a job that never cared about timing or promises. Before he stood, Ramirez poked his head into the doorway. Larson, you're cut loose, go. Appreciate it, Cap. Give your boy a hug for the rest of us. The drive home was quiet, the kind of quiet that let the day replay in a loop he wished he could shut off. The SUV coming apart under the tools, the mother's fading voice, the way the kid's head had tilted just like Tyler's did when he fell asleep in the back seat. He turned onto his street, headlights washing across familiar houses, porches lit, windows glowing in the early night. His own house, third from the corner, had the porch light on, and his son's bike tossed in the yard, half buried in the grass. He parked and sat there a moment, engine ticking as it cooled. When he stepped out, the air smelled like cut grass and someone's charcoal grill 2 houses down. Normal life, uneventful life, a life he only stepped into between shifts. The front door opened before he reached it. Tyler stood there, still wearing his uniform, cap slightly crooked, glove in hand. His eyes lit up the way only a kid's could. Dad! Mike's chest felt like it folded inward. Tyler ran to him, skidding to a stop a foot away. We won, and I hit a double. Coach said it was my best game all season. Then quieter. Mom said you were at work. I was, Mike said softly. I'm sorry, buddy. It's okay, Tyler said, but his voice dipped just enough that Mike caught the truth hiding under it. Mike knelt, hands on his son's shoulders. The boy smelled like dirt and sweat, and that chalk dust they used on the baselines. I wanted to be there, I really did. I know. Tyler shrugged, looking down. Stuff happens. The phrase felt too adult for an 8-year-old. Hey, Mike said gently. Look at me. Tyler did. You did great tonight, and I'm proud of you. More than you know. Tyler's eyes brightened again, a little shy, a little hopeful. Coach said if I keep practicing, I could play in the City League next year. But it's more games. I'll make as many as I can, Mike said. That's a promise. It wasn't a perfect promise, not with this job, but it was the best he could offer. And Tyler nodded like he accepted that without needing explanations. They walked inside together. His wife met him in the kitchen, relief softening her shoulders. She didn't say anything at first. She just hugged him, long and tight, and he let himself sink into it. You okay? She whispered. He exhaled. Rough call. Kid about Tyler's age. She held him tighter. I'm glad you're home. Yeah, he said quietly. Me too. Tyler drifted toward the living room, replaying the game out loud for anyone who'd listen. Mike leaned against the counter, watching his son talk with hands flying, excitement spilling out in bursts. And as he stood there, something clicked into place. Not dramatic, not life-changing, just a steady realization. He couldn't change the job, but he could stop letting it take more than it had to. Not every shift, not every game, but enough. Enough to show up when he could. Enough to let his son know he mattered. enough to keep the job from swallowing everything else. Tonight had scared him, not because of the wreck, not because of the near miss, but because, for a moment, he'd felt what it would be like to lose something he took for granted, and he wasn't letting that happen, not if he could help it. Later that night, after Tyler finally fell asleep, still in his uniform shirt because he insisted it was his lucky one, Mike stepped out onto the back porch. The yard was quiet, except for the hum of crickets and the low breeze brushing through the fence slats. The porch light washed the deck in a soft glow. He sat on the old wooden step, elbows on his knees, letting the cool air settle everything buzzing in his head. Calls like today weren't new. He'd worked worse scenes. He'd carried heavier grief. But something about that boy, the angle of his face, the way his small hand had slipped limp against the seatbelt, had cracked something open in him that he hadn't realized was brittle. He heard the sliding door open behind him. His wife stepped out, a sweatshirt wrapped around her shoulders. She sat beside him, close enough their legs touched. "You've been quiet," she said. "Just thinking. About the call?" "Yeah." They sat there for a moment, listening to the fence creak in the wind. "I saw the kid," Mike said, "and for a second I thought it was our son. It hit me wrong, harder than I expected." She nodded, not surprised. "You carry everybody's emergencies. Eventually one of them is going to hit close to home." "It wasn't the scene," he said. "It was realizing I'm missing parts of Tyler's life while I'm out there trying to keep strangers alive. I don't regret the job. I don't want him looking for me in the stands and not finding me." She placed a hand over his. "You're a good father," she said. "He knows that. I want to be there more. Then be there when you can. That's all any of us can do." He let out a slow breath. "I'm thinking about dropping one overtime rotation. Just one. It'd give me more evenings off." She looked at him, searching his face. "Are you sure?" "Yeah," he said, surprising himself with how certain it felt. Today made it pretty clear. She leaned her head on his shoulder. The two of them stayed like that, the night settling around them, the quiet stretching comfortably. After a while, she said, "You should try to get some sleep." "In a bit," Mike said. "Just want a minute?" She kissed his cheek, squeezed his hand, and headed inside. Mike stayed on the porch, fingers drumming lightly against the step. He didn't feel dramatic. He didn't feel changed. Just clearer. Like someone had wiped a fogged window. What happened on the highway would stick with him. Not because it was the worst call, but because it was the one that pointed him towards something he already knew deep down. The job took what it needed. Family took what you gave. And he needed to give more. The next morning he got to the station early. The sun wasn't even up yet, just a thin gray line stretching across the horizon. The bay smelled like diesel, coffee, and old turnout gear. Familiar, grounding. Some of the guys were already there, shuffling in with half-zipped coats and travel mugs. Ramirez stood beside engine 12, clipboard in hand. "Morning," the captain said. "Morning. You look better than last night. Got some perspective?" Mike said simply. Ramirez nodded. "Good. Day shift's light. Should be quiet." "Don't say that," Mike muttered. "You'll jinx us." The captain cracked a small smile. Mike walked around the engine doing the usual checks. Oil, hoses, tools, med bag. Normal routine. But today it felt different, like his mind wasn't split between two lives tugging in opposite directions. He knew what he needed to balance now. 10 minutes later, his phone buzzed. A picture from his wife. Tyler at the breakfast table, hair sticking in every direction, holding a bowl of cereal like it weighed 20 pounds. Underneath, she'd typed, "He wants you to know he's practicing his swing after school. Says you can help him." Mike smiled. Small, genuine, unforced. He typed back, "I'll be there." He slipped the phone into his pocket just as the morning tones sounded. Nothing urgent, just a medical assist across town. He grabbed his coat, jogged for the rig, climbed into the officer's seat. Same job, same routine. But now, he felt grounded in a way he hadn't in a long time. As the engine rolled out of the bay and onto the quiet morning streets, Mike watched the neighborhoods pass by. Houses waking up, lights turning on, people pulling out of driveways. Life moving, shifting, continuing. And he realized it wasn't about choosing between work and family. It was about not letting one erase the other. That afternoon, when his shift ended on time for once, he drove straight to the field behind the school. Tyler was already there, helmet on, bat resting against his shoulder, When he saw his dad step onto the grass, he smiled with that big, unguarded joy Mike had missed the night before. "You made it!" Tyler shouted. "Yeah, buddy," Mike said, picking up a baseball and rolling it in his palm. "Let's see that double swing." The sun dipped low behind them as the two of them practiced, one pitch after another. The smack of the bat echoed across the empty field, steady and clean. And for the first time in a long time, Mike didn't feel like he was rushing from one world to the other. He felt present, right where he needed to be.